If you're looking for ways to challenge your players, but you don't want to be running extended fight scenes or make them sit through long conversations, then you need a skill challenge. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what a skill challenge is, when you should use them, and how I run them in my games. That way you'll be able to plug one into your next session. Let's get stuck into it. Skill challenges throw your players together, forcing them to focus on teamwork and find creative ways to use their character's skills and abilities. These are used during impactful moments like running away from a dragon, disarming a trap, or rushing toward a fight. Alternatively, skill challenges can be used in moments where special attention is needed, like solving a crime, traversing across a desert, or uncovering the secrets of some ancient mystery. Skill challenges became popular during 4th edition D&D. Rereading those 4th edition skill challenges now though, I'm not surprised why that particular rule set didn't quite make it into 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. Often, very specific skills were needed, and the likelihood of failure for a party without those right skills could be deadly. However, the overall idea of a skill challenge is still super useful, and something I employ in practically every one of my sessions. In my games, a skill challenge is a series of skill checks the player characters make to progress toward a certain goal. In a skill challenge, you could use any of your skills, tool proficiencies, and even vehicle expertise as long as it makes sense in the scene. And the goal is to get a certain number of successes before the group gets 3 failures. Sort of like having a finite number of lives like in those classic video games we all loved growing up. Step 1. Getting started. Whether it's to build tension or as part of a climax, a skill challenge needs 3 things: a goal, a failure condition, and unforeseen circumstances. The goal is typically the easiest part. Steal the crown, escape the dragon, cross the desert, you get the picture. The failure condition in a skill challenge makes these skill challenges necessary in the first place. It usually hints at a greater problem and makes the consequences of failure very clear. So let's use an example from before. The goal of escape the dragon with a failure condition might now become escape the dragon or be eaten alive. Finally, the unforeseen circumstances are the hardest part to master, but are the best part of a challenge. These should come in between the successes and the failures to either raise the stakes or afford a brief respite. We'll explore these in more detail later in the video, but for now just keep in mind that they need to be relevant to the goal or the failure condition, preferably both, and help move the story forward. Step 2. The setup. Now it's time to decide just how you're going to run the skill challenge. For a climactic challenge, take another look at the goal and the failure condition we just made together. For now, let's keep using the example escape the dragon or be eaten alive. To begin with, I share the DC of each check with the players. Usually this is a DC of 10 plus the character's level or 12 plus the character's proficiency, whichever is lower. If this is an especially challenging scene, I might increase the DC by a point or 2, but often these numbers are high enough. If it looks like something a player wants to do would require a higher or lower DC, that's where some of my bonus tips will come in, but we're going to get to those later. After setting the DC, it's time to find out how many successes are needed to complete the challenge. A challenge typically falls into 3 categories: easy, medium, or hard. For an easy challenge, the players need 3 successes to succeed. For a medium challenge, it's 5 successes, and for a hard challenge, it's 7 successes. Across all difficulty levels, players are only allowed to fail skill checks 3 times in the skill challenge before that skill challenge ends in failure. Each of the failures on these skill checks either represent too much time passing, the quarry's gaining on the players, or some new obstacle in the player's way. Sometimes working out just how many successes your challenge needs, however, can be really tough. When I'm struggling to work out the difficulty, I ask myself the following questions. Is there a time limit? If so, I increase the difficulty of the skill challenge. Is the task in the skill challenge difficult or deadly? If so, I increase the difficulty. Are the players well prepared for this skill challenge? If they are, I reduce the difficulty. After answering these, I can usually work out how many successes the party needs to complete the task. So in order to escape the dragon, they'd need 7 successes to succeed before they get 3 failures and are eaten alive. Step 3. Running the challenge. With that framework sorted, you're just about ready to run the challenge. First, set the scene for your players. Tell the players what their goals are, what the DC of the skill challenge is, and how many successes they're going to need before reaching 3 failures. Finally, tell them the result of the failure here and now. Is it simply that they missed the airship they were trying to get to? Are they captured by the crown guards? Or must they fight a dragon, or even be eaten by one? Telling players what's at stake motivates them to succeed and is part and parcel of a collaborative storytelling experience. Then, get your players into a loose initiative. Having the skill challenge take place over rounds with turns also stops one character doing all of the work and gives every player an opportunity to take part. Next, I ask the player to describe to me what skill they want to use and how they go about doing that action. If what they're describing doesn't quite align with the skill check that they want to use, I offer some alternatives or allow the table to offer some alternatives too. We are telling a collaborative story after all. If their idea, however, just doesn't work, I briefly explain why it wouldn't work and then ask them to rethink what they want to do on their turn, maybe even moving on to someone else so that they have more time to think. Once everyone has taken a turn, it's the start of a new round and we keep going until either the party has succeeded or failed. But wait, bonus! What about those unforeseen circumstances you mentioned? In my skill challenges, I make every roll count. I do this by having one player's actions directly affecting the next player's, even if it's just in the narrative. This is my way of giving players prompts and helping them decide what skill to make next. This also allows me to turn failures into opportunities for the players to help them out a bit. Whether these prompts you give have any mechanical effects or not is entirely up to you. I personally decide this based on what resources I'm hoping the player characters will tap into, but these prompts don't need a mechanical effect for the players to feel and appreciate the change in pace. Like the sound of a skill challenge so far? Well, I've got more videos just like this one coming out soon, so make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of my videos. Bonus tips and tricks. Here are a few extra tips I use in my skill challenges to turn each into a memorable moment. Let the character shine. In my skill challenges, I encourage players to tap into their character's features, like those from their race, background, or class. And I encourage players to actually use their equipment, all to describe how they combine these with a certain skill. Because if a skill and a feature of a character is especially potent in a given situation, it's an easy way for that player to gain advantage on their roll, helping out on a close call. If a player is just a few degrees away from success, I allow another player to step up. Any player character can help another if their roll was just shy of a DC. For example, if Wyatt rolls a 13 and the DC is a 15, Jess might come up with a way her character helps in the nick of time. Jess then describes what her character does to help and rolls against the lower DC based on what they're trying to do. If she succeeds, I allow Wyatt's initial roll to gain a +2 to the result. This does, however, use up both of their turns that round, avoiding the failure through teamwork. If a player character fails the check completely, with no chance of success, even with another character helping, there's still hope yet. To avert failure, another character has to describe their character's attempts to save the day. Maybe Wyatt's character jumps to grab hold of the rope before it snaps, which is the result of a failure on one of the skill checks. Here, Wyatt would have to make a strength athletics check against the same DC that the rest of the challenge is at, just to avoid that failure. This doesn't turn it into a success, and it still costs Wyatt's turn, however. Think these rules are too forgiving so far? Me too. That's why I have timed events. In my games, taking your time to complete a skill challenge comes with its own dire consequences. After a certain number of rounds, perhaps the terrain becomes harsher or a new monster appears. After the third round or so, I might increase the DC by 1, or I might have players suffer damage each round, or roll con saves to avoid exhaustion. Whatever the case, I make sure I telegraph this to the players through descriptions in the rounds prior so that they're not too surprised by the change in intensity and that they realise they need to get a move on before things get even worse. Skill challenges are a great tool to use in your games. Since I've been using them, they've helped me improve my sessions immensely. They allow a semi-structured opportunity for roleplay by giving a clear goal and prompts along the way to achieve it, all whilst rolling those sweet, sweet dice. There are many more ways to improve your skill challenges, with random tables, diverse player objectives, and adaptable rules. However, in order to make this video easy to follow, I've gone ahead and wrote up my full skill challenge PDF, complete with all sorts of tables, extra rules, and example encounters so that you can use it straight away in your games. Additionally, I'm making the script of this video available on my Patreon so you can have a written copy of this video, if that is more accessible for you. Links to both of these are in the description below. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, have some great games, be kind to one another, and I'll see you the next time.